Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Monday, December 12th. 2022, and I'm your host, John June. And of course, this guy to my left, that would be my homie, Greg Penniman, aka G Money. Greg, how we doing today, brother?
Doing well, doing all right, man. We got some last minute. This is a big game. A lot of players are either have Kyler Murray going against Kyler Murray, so I'm in one of those going against. We'll see what happens. D Hop's in this. We got big games tonight, pretty much for fantasy playoffs implications.
Yeah, definitely big fantasy playoff implications. There's also some real life NFL implications. So always fun when that happens. So it was not a rough week, but 50% of people were happy at the end of this week, and then there was 50% of people that weren't happy at the end of this week. Granted, again, if you don't need a miracle here with the Monday night game coming up, but I mean, if you
a lot of situations,
but if you have been eliminated from playoff contention, then make sure you continue to pay attention, because that's important. Paying attention, even if you're out of it, because that's how you hit on players like AJ Brown of years past, David Johnson of years past. Like, I'll never forget this. I remember. This was actually around the same time I met you, Greg. Like, everybody's talking about David Johnson, and I don't even that would have been like 2015, and everyone's talking about David Johnson as like being a top 3 pick, and I was like, yo, where is all this David Johnson love coming from? And it's because I had gotten eliminated from the playoffs the year before, and I didn't pay attention. I just stopped paying attention, and I didn't know that David Johnson's rookie year, he went on to have a ridiculous stretch down the fantasy playoffs that helped win people titles, because he was a popular waiver wire pickup at that time of the year, 2014. So if that's you, pay attention, right? Keep listening to us, keep listening to other shows, reading articles, stay in your routine that you normally would. If your league allows you to continue to make roster moves, like, keep playing as if you want to continue to win, regardless of obviously, unless your rules state, like, once you're eliminated, you can't make any more transactions or anything like that. But, just do the best you can to stay involved, because it's only going to help you going into next year.
Yeah, no, to piggyback off that, the most famous after 2016 David Johnson's got to be 2022 Amon-Ra St. Brown, man. That was what he was last year, coming on that stretch, and everyone's like, who's this guy getting 8+ catches a game towards in week 18, and then he's getting you here. Now he's a wide receiver 1 bona fide guy, and especially for like those keeper leagues that allow you to just keep play anybody. If you can add keeper players now, like on the waiver wire, that might be even hurt, or that was season ending IR or like something like that. Add them and pay attention. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's get into the quarterback position. One of those guys was actually, one of the guys we'll talk about a little bit later was actually one of those guys, 2 years ago in Jalen Hurts, but we'll talk about him in a little bit. We're going to talk about the quarterback swags, though. And this one's going to start with Trevor Lawrence. Finished as the QB1 on the week, thus 30 of 42, 368 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, but did add 7 rushing yards to go along with a rushing touchdown there, 33.4 fantasy points. A week later than what we thought, but still had, major, still thought that Trevor Lawrence had major upside coming to this matchup with Tennessee, which just been given up to quarterbacks as of late. And Trevor Lawrence battled through that toe injury to really have, his best performance of the year here.
Yeah, man, he's hot right now, actually, and he's doing what he's got to do, fantasy wise. When he's healthy, he's been doing he's doing a great job. I have to thank him. He helped out kind of, the insert Tennessee, insert at Jacksonville wide receiver start of the week. So, I thought it'd be Christian Kirk, but it happened to be Zay Jones. So I feel like, I'll take a little credit for him. Trevor Lawrence doing that for me. But yeah, I think he's going down the stretch, man. He's a QB1, I think for sure. And there's not a lot of guys I want above him right now.
Oh yeah, he's most definitely a QB1. I will take some credit because he was my sleeper quarterback on the year.
There you go.
Was priced pretty late, but again, the pedigree that he has, if you kind of just, were willing to throw out last year with Urban Meyer there, this guy has looked every bit the number one overall pick that we thought he was when he was coming out of Clemson. I know people, really wanted to, slander him after just one bad year, but you really look at what he's done. He's playing really well, and oh, by the way, gets Calvin Ridley next year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
added to this offense. Let's move on to the QB2 on the week. I say it every week, man. Just not any quarterback I'd rather have in fantasy right now than Jalen Hurts. He's just so consistent. Can get it done multiple ways this week. A little bit of both, 217 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns on 21 of 31 attempts, 7 carries for 77 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown there, 30.4 PPR or fantasy points on the day. I was this here promo right now live on Did It, which is this new app that you could find me on. You could find different experts on, but you could find me on there as well. I was talking to somebody and they asked me about some of my favorite props. Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown. That was one of them. And it hit. So, a little pat on the back. So if you want to, find me on Did It, you can. And we can get one-on-one FaceTime chats. So just, ahead of these fantasy playoffs. But Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, man, continuing to prove that he's the MVP this season on a dominant team that was gonna kill the Giants rushing wise, and he helped in that. Just the amount of easy runs he had, easy first down runs he was creating was very impressive, and he continued to roll. Passing wise, he almost had another passing touchdown. Devontae Smith was one foot away from getting that in the end zone as well. So it's just there's really no cap for this man right now.
Yeah, no, he's playing fantastic, and it's definitely what you love to see. Moving on to this next guy, and I got to get to the sound effects for this one because this was my quarterback start of the week. Jared Goff, 27 of 39, 330 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, also added 9 rushing yards, 26.1 fantasy points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Jared Goff?
Yeah, Jared, talk about a guy that, if there was a most improved kind of player of the year in the NFL, like he's definitely got to be up there with Geno Smith, and like the improvement from last year to this year, Detroit as a team improving. The last couple of weeks, Jared Goff has been hot as well. Had an excellent matchup, of course, with Minnesota, but both quarterbacks play well, and Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff just going back and forth. So that was good to see Jared Goff. He's going to be also, again, winning some fantasy championships this year as well.
Yeah, just not this week against the New York Jets.
No.
But no, Jared Goff, I mean, obviously this was a great performance. Minnesota was one that we've been he was my quarterback start of the week. So I definitely felt this coming, especially after what he's, like you said, what he's done in recent weeks. He's been phenomenal. Just to think that how he's playing right now, people aren't probably used to seeing this version of Jared Goff pretty consistently.
No, not since I guess the Rams year when they were just the explosive offense. They were, yeah.
Let's move on to these quarterback swags and the number 4 quarterback on the week. Greg, would you look at that? Russell Wilson. The quarterback 5 on the week. That will be Greg's quarterback start of the week. Kirk Cousins. The quarterback 6, this one I couldn't believe, but Greg, I'm pretty sure you were on this one. Brock Purdy.
Oh yeah, my man. Shout out to Brock
Purdy
Purdy,
good.
man. I was out here for Brock Purdy, man. You already know. Pretty
Josh
good.
Allen,
That's pretty good.
the QB7. Geno Smith, QB8. Patrick Mahomes, 9. Justin Herbert, 10. Daniel Jones, 11. And Ryan Tannehill, the QB12. Greg, any of these top 12 performances stuck out? I mean, I there's got to be a couple, but there's one I know that
But
should be sticking out.
definitely Brock Purdy for sure. I mean, Russell Wilson, absolutely. Yeah, no, yeah. It's because there's no way I cannot say this is a fluke, man. I'm all over the fluke status. There's no way he can
I mean,
replicate. I mean, this is the second best game. No, the first game. Well, the Raiders game and this game are the two outliers of
no, the
this year.
Seattle game was his best
The
game, I think.
the oh the week one game. But he had a lot. He had passing touchdowns in the Vegas game at least.
You know, he also had 3 passing touchdowns in this game, and
He did.
somebody
He did.
said that would happen on the show. So, Greg, you said you didn't even know if you'd be able to show up. So, how did you muster up the courage and the will to show up today, despite the 3 passing touchdowns by Russell Wilson, which, by the way, now ties him
His bathroom
for the number of bathrooms in his home.
Crazy. I mean, now he's right there on his bathroom count. Hopefully he's got 4 weeks left to get one more, pretty much.
Yeah. Did have a pretty scary concussion.
He did have a concussion.
Which he went down almost immediately, and you knew at that moment that he's not coming back into this game, which was kind of upsetting a little bit because he was on his way to having a really good game. I mean, he did all of this in like 3 quarters, also added 57 rushing yards there. So, it was he I think he got tackled or he fell down at like the 5 or 6 yard line. So this very well could have been a 4 touchdown day or more potentially for Russell Wilson. But Brock Purdy, you were on that one. I did not want it, did not see it. I was like, I need to see it twice, 2 in a row before I can give Brock Purdy some love there from a fantasy perspective. But it looks like
I think it's just more Kyle Shanahan, if anything, man. You can put a lot of quarterbacks in with him, and he can make you succeed.
This
But
kid's
he was
got
definitely making some throws.
man.
For sure. Definitely making some throws for sure.
Like it'd be one thing if he was like handing off, everything was like a jet pass, one of those jet sweep pop passes to like Deebo Samuel or Ayuk. But the throw to McCaffrey, like, down the field. I mean, the Brandon Ayuk one was probably a little bit underthrown. But just like the moxie and the poise, especially around the goal line, got in the end zone. The way he evades pressure, only had 5 incompletions in this game. Didn't throw an interception. And then you hear how the Niners players talk about him, like Nick Bosa saying, "Oh, we've got a quarterback, we've got our quarterback," something, and it's just like you just screwed over 2 quarterbacks by saying
word,
that.
bro. Word.
But I mean, he's definitely shown a lot through 2 games, it's we'll see how if it keeps going.
Yeah, I think his main goal should just stay healthy, man. He needs to stay healthy for this team.
I mean, did suffer an oblique injury, it seems. Had to get an MRI today. He suffered it apparently in like the second drive, but did not, still continued to play through the game. All right, let's talk about some honorable mentions, and there's only a couple. Deshaun Watson finishes the QB 14 in this one. Baker Mayfield, finishes the QB 15. I mean, the Baker story is cool and all, but he played Vegas. Are you looking to pick up Baker for this stretch, or are we still avoiding the Rams offense?
No, I was looking at his schedule. I mean, it wasn't something I can like just jump on. I only had like Brock Purdy as maybe a guy that I was looking at for next week in playoffs. Not really Baker. I mean, they got Green Bay next week, and then Denver. So I mean, I can't see him really like changing your roster really if you're adding him.
Yeah, no,
Especially
I
when,
agree.
all there's no more bye weeks. Like, yeah, you can find other options.
Yep, I agree. Maybe in super flex. Well, definitely in super flex. Everybody's an
Yeah,
option for sure.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the quarterback Jags, and there are a few, I should say. I'm gonna throw on here QB 13. I don't know, 16, almost 17 points, 16 and a half points. Didn't kill you there.
His T Higgins got hurt.
Yeah, lost T. Higgins,
Yeah, yeah,
lost
yeah. Lost
Tyler
Tyler
Boyd,
Boyd. Yeah, yeah,
didn't
that's
have
tough. That's
Hayden
tough.
Hurst going into the game.
That's tough.
Yeah, so
You
Tua
need your
Tagovailoa.
receivers. Justin Herbert is an example of that.
Tua Tagovailoa did not have a great fantasy day. I mean, you were expecting him going up against a Chargers defense that was mostly banged up on their end, that you would be able to take it, or Tua at least would be able to take advantage of it. Did not seem like that was the case. Tyreek Hill ends up being banged up in this game as well, so that had definitely affected it. But through 2.5 quarters, really, where Tyreek Hill was mostly healthy, they didn't. The Miami Dolphins couldn't get much going against the Chargers.
Yeah, not for sure. Definitely expecting a more high scoring game on that one. So yeah, we'll see. Probably, one of two bad games Tua had. I'm not too worried about him, so hopefully he can bounce back next week.
Not Tua worried about Tua.
Not too worried about Tua.
Dak Prescott, the QB 16. Most of that came on that 98-yard drive to close out the game. I wish I did not switch my pick of Texans to cover, mainly because I made a parlay where I bet on the Dallas Cowboys to cover 17.
Yeah, I
And
think we could have known. Maybe they be more competitive with Davis Mills at quarterback. Like that just shows why I don't
they
know
went
why
to
they
the
made the switch to
two
begin with.
quarterback system.
Oh yeah, that's
They went
right. They did.
they
Jeff
went
Driscoll.
Jeff Driscoll
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Davis
That's
Mills.
true. They did. They did for sure. Shout out to Chris Moore though. Let's go.
Chris Moore, Amari Rogers. What about that? That was random.
So random, man. Oh
Oh
man, we
man,
got some random plays on Houston like coming down the stretch now.
yeah, just probably a place to avoid for the fantasy playoffs. uh, let's move on to the running back swags, man. And the number one running back on the week. Tell me if you saw this one coming, Greg. Jerick McKinnon. 6 rush attempts for 22 rushing yards. You're probably like, John, how is he the number one running back on the week? Well, that's because he had 7 catches on 9 targets for 112 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. For reference, the 112 receiving yards would have been better than all but 3. No, I take that back. Would have been a top 5 number amongst fantasy wide receivers in the top 12. And so Jerick McKinnon here had 32.4 PPR points, and one of those touchdowns on one play, which I could only describe as Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things, because it was like, I can't even, if you haven't seen it, it's just Patrick Mahomes just running, trying to evade pressure, running to the right, and then just underhand flips the ball to Jerick McKinnon, who's beyond the line of scrimmage, or beyond the first down marker, and then just takes off for a 62-yard touchdown. It was absolutely incredible. But Greg, your thoughts and performance here by Jerick McKinnon?
Yeah, Jerry McKinnon, I think, definitely a guy we've been talking about on the waiver to pick up, have him on your roster, because he has his own standalone volume with his receiving, and that just showed here the upside that he has, and you love to see it for sure. I mean, definitely think a guy, he's over that 62% roster, but that should continue to go up. And his strength is that receiving, and then this is a team that not really with a dominant receiver, they're gonna pass it to everyone, and McKinnon out the backfield is gonna be perfect for them.
Yeah, the best thing for fantasy managers that trying to extract fantasy value from Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco was the injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because this has created it's take a 3-man backfield and made it a 2-man backfield. And because the two guys are so different in skill
Mhm.
sets, it's created an opportunity here where each one has a defined role.
Yep.
And it's awesome for fantasy managers. I mean, and I think it's awesome for the Chiefs in real life football to have a back like Pacheco to be able to close out games now, where before they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the RB2 on the week, man. And the RB2 on the week is Christian McCaffrey. Back-to-back weeks in the top 3 now. 14 carries, top 2 rather. 14 carries, 119 receiving yards, 1 rushing touchdown, added 2 receptions on 3 targets for 34 receiving yards and a touchdown reception, 29.3 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on CMC's performance?
Yeah, CMC is starting to, move his way back up to that, high end top 3 running back every week consistently. So, the last couple of weeks have been money. Now that he's healthier, I think, and he's just going to continue to give you, I think, top 3, top 5 performances down the stretch. It should be great.
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic, and just continue to expect that. The only thing that's from being CMC has been staying on the field. So
Yeah.
as long as he stays on the field, continue to expect that production from him. Moving on to the RB3 on the week, and that would be my running back start of the week. Miles Sanders absolutely had a huge day against the New York Giants. 17 carries, 144 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Added 1 reception on 3 targets for 11 receiving yards, 28.5 PPR points. Attack the Giants' rush defense. Attack the Giants' rush defense. Attack the Giants' rush defense. But to Miles Sanders, I mean, phenomenal day. Well over 1,000 yards now. Has double-digit touchdowns. Just a great performance. A great year by Miles Sanders. I wish you never told me not to draft you, but I'm glad for all of those that are out there having Miles Sanders on their teams, that you can reap the benefits that I've been trying to extract for like 3 years now. So, Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Miles Sanders?
Yeah, career year by Miles Sanders, a year that he's healthy, that just helps his season really a lot. And I think, yeah, it was going to be a guy, close to that first round next year for sure for ADP.
Yeah, definitely someone who's gonna be worth a a high draft pick.
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
for sure. Let's round out these running back swags though. And the RB4 on the week, Austin Eckler. 5, that would be my guy. Greg's running back start of the week, Tony
Oh,
Pollard.
both quarterbacks and running backs in the top 5. Okay.
Yeah, we'll take that. The running back 7 on the week, that would be Josh Jacobs. 8, Chuba Hubbard. 9, J.K. Dobbins. 10, Ezekiel Elliott. And tied for 11, Zonovan Knight and Marlon Mack, which would make Najee Harris the 13th running back. Greg, your thoughts on these performances by these top 12 running backs?
Yeah, Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders doing what they got to do. Chuba Hubbard is definitely surprising, but not surprising. Just how Carolina's running back situation has been all year. And then Bam Knight, man, whoever the Jets decide on running back, they're a hit, man. You guys have the best running back scouts in the league right now. It's crazy. You guys that running back room was wild to start the year. That everyone that's came up is hitting right now. Zonovan Knight is, possibly a league winner for people that, had Michael Carter, or Brees Hall, and then was able to swoop up Bam Knight. So yeah, it's looking good right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, to your point, Greg, they actually found Bam Knight because they traded a 5th-round pick for James Robinson, and he was mostly ineffective. And so they needed to add some kind of juice. And like I said a few weeks ago, when we were talking about the waivers, I said, look, man, I would go get Bam Knight. Like
Yep.
he brings a different style of running back that this Jets team sorely needs. He's not Brees Hall in terms of the speed. Like Brees Hall would break like a 50, 60-yard run. Bam Knight's not going to do that, but he does have the speed to break longer runs, has the ability to break tackles. Yeah, like you said, he might end up being a league winner here. This on paper was his toughest matchup. Now he gets
Yeah.
matchups with Detroit,
Oof.
Jacksonville, Miami if you play in week 18. I feel like I missed a game.
Nah, yeah, he's definitely got probably one of the best running back schedules
Oh, Detroit,
anywhere. Yeah.
Jacksonville, Seattle,
Oh,
and then Miami if you play in week 18. So
oh.
it's one look. It was the same schedule that we were talking about when I was like, "Yo, Brees's schedule, man, it
Mhm.
looks so good." So this is the same schedule you're gonna get from Bam Knight. So I could wax poetically about Bam Knight all day, but let me talk about one of my favorite running backs in the NFL. And you probably, if listening to this, you probably wouldn't know that unless you were like a day one when I was on here doing running back prospects. But J.K. Dobbins, what about my man in his, like, I don't want to call it his first game back, but this was like his first real game back from the injury. 15 carries, a buck 20, had a rushing touchdown. You got no Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley was hurt in this one. I forgot to throw him in the Jags, but I guess I'm not going to take a Jag for a concussion. But you know, J.K. Dobbins might be leaned on here for this Baltimore Ravens run game, and he's somebody that realistically could be available in some leagues, depending on if you have an IR spot or not.
Yeah, definitely available in some leagues. Definitely, I was always believing JK, just holding on for him so long. If you're able to, able to have the luxury to hold on for him, yeah, it's definitely paying off now. Just had to get healthy. That was just really came down what it came down to. The prospect is there. He's gonna be doing a lot for Baltimore down the stretch.
That feels like forever ago when we were on here talking about J.K. Dobbins, and you were like, "Yeah, and I was like, "I don't know, man. I don't know. Doesn't seem healthy." Like
Yeah, it just wasn't healthy.
that felt
Yeah,
like years ago, but
yeah.
to think that was earlier this year. All right. Anything else you want to discuss out of these top 12 running backs?
No, it's pretty good 12. Another top 12 day for both Cowboys running backs for sure. That's beautiful.
Yep. Beautiful to see if you have them both or if you roster one of each. Pacheco, we talked about a little bit, but he was definitely a guy that showed up as an honorable mention. But let's talk about these running back Jags. Some names you don't want to see, you know, with this week coming off this week, as pivotal of a week as it was. But Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley,
His
Nick
brother,
Chubb,
James Cook.
James Cook, DeAndre Swift. Those are names you definitely don't want to
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
especially if you were trying to get into the fantasy playoffs here. The Seattle running backs, either one of them that we, whether it was Travis Homer or Tony Jones Jr., basically both of them were terrible. And
yeah,
Pete Carroll already came out and said, we'll see about the availability of Kenneth Walker and DJ Dallas as Seahawks play the Niners on Thursday Night Football. So it might be rough there. Anything else? Anybody else you want to throw out as a jag there, Greg, for the running back position?
Uh, probably a lot of people starting Dante Foreman, and then you just ended up either if you had both of them and you started the wrong one, feel bad for you. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's tough.
The thing that sucks with that, and I saw Foreman, I didn't really want to put him. Like, I guess technically from a fantasy perspective, but like my man got the ball like 20 something times. He just didn't get in the end zone, and the production like wasn't really there. I think it was like 20 carries for like 70 yards or whatever it
Mm,
was.
mm,
But if he gets in the end zone, that totally changes his day. So
yeah,
that's one of those where like the result didn't work out great, but the process was there because he got 20 carries. It's not like he touched the ball twice and was ghosted or something like that. And you didn't, just my thought.
sure.
It doesn't make you feel better if you started him and that's the reason you lost. But I'm just all right. Let's move on to the wide receiver position. Let's talk about the wide receiver Swags and the number one wide receiver on the week, Jerry Jeudy. 8
Crazy.
catches, 9 targets, 73 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. No, he did not catch all 3 of those from Russell Wilson. He caught 1 from Brett Ripien and 2 from Russell Wilson. 33.3 PPR points on the day. My man should just basically play the number 3 in the lottery or something. I don't know. 73 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, 33.3 PPR points. Greg, any thoughts on the performance of the hat trick here by Jerry Jeudy?
No, I mean, yeah, this is definitely, better. I guess better late than never. I mean, better late than never for the tying to Russell Wilson if he's having a big day. One of Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton would have been had a big day, but Sutton hurt, so Jerry Jeudy the one to step up and get a lot of these receiving yards and touchdowns. Um, Definitely, kudos to him for sure. But I mean, if Russell Wilson's gonna be hurt, didn't even be, kind of believe in the bounce back anyway. But if he's also hurt, I don't see him like continuing the success unless he's getting all the target share, which is very possible though.
Yeah, I mean, if Cortland Sutton continues to be hurt, he very well could get the bulk of the target share here.
40% target share.
I mean, the other thing is they're not going to play the Chiefs every week, right? Like I think what I was
No.
saying was that you won't be afforded the opportunity. Like they were afforded the opportunity in previous games. Like you could play Baltimore, you could play the Raiders, and they're not gonna force you to score like 30 points here. But the Chiefs they're gonna force you to try to score 30. And so is that gonna happen on a week to week basis? That's the thing you have to ask yourself. I think this was not entirely game script driven, but I think it was mostly game script driven. Let's move on to the wide receiver 2 on the week. That would be Justin Jefferson. 11 receptions, 15 targets, 223 receiving yards, 33. Oh, I guess he was tied with Jerry Jeudy. I didn't even realize that. Tied with Jerry Jeudy for the wide receiver 1. Justin Jefferson, 33.3 PPR points on the day. This was entirely game script driven, this stat line. The 15 targets, the 223 receiving yards. I mean, the Vikings were trying to get back in this game early after being down double digits very early on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a day I expect him, no matter the score, against the Detroit secondary. But yeah, the way it happened, he got it. In comeback mode is great. I mean, he's been kind of in the top 3, top 5. The last I think for 5, 6 weeks now. So he's been consistently hot. Even in Kirk Cousins bad games, other than I guess that Dallas game, they've been doing what they got to do. So yeah, definitely been money for the fantasy managers.
Definitely. And those LSU boys, man, they know how to show out. Jamar Chase, 10 catches on 15 targets, 119 receiving yards, 1 touchdown reception. Also added a rush attempt there for 6 rushing yards. No T. Higgins, no Tyler Boyd, no Hayden Hurst. That means a 15 target day here for Jamar Chase. Your thoughts on the day here by Chase?
Yeah, man, ultimate talent. He's gonna get 10 with all those receivers healthy, 10 targets, and now he's gonna get close to that 40% target. Now, if any of them are banged up, going into next week, Jamar Chase is gonna dominate. He's gonna have some monster games down the stretch, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Again, like you said, he's healthy. Probably the only healthy receiver of the bunch. Going to continue to get targeted down the stretch, especially as the Bengals have a matchup with I think the Bills coming up on not this week, but I think potentially the
Yeah,
week
week
after. So
17. Yeah, they got Tampa, New England, and Buffalo.
yeah, so definitely an opportunity there in that game for Jamar Chase to basically go bananas. All right, let's round out these top 12 wide receivers. The wide receiver 4, Tyreek Hill; 5, Mike Williams; 6, Juju Smith-Schuster; also tied for 6, Chris Moore; 8, Zay Jones; 9, DJ Shark; 10, Keenan Allen; 11, Marquise Goodwin; and 12, Adam Thielen. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by these top 12s?
Yeah, definitely like it. Proud of Chris Moore, a hot, a guy brought up on the waiver wire by a couple weeks now. And Mike Williams is back to that boom. Glad that he's there. Keenan Allen's there. Herbert getting his guys back just means a lot for Herbert and this Chargers offense. And Zay Jones, filling in for Christian Kirk as wide receiver start of the week.
I don't know if I could fully give you that one because Zay Jones was worth the start in his own right, mainly because I feel I've been ranking both of them in my top 10 for the last 3 weeks, and only one of them finishes in the top 10, and it's just really annoying because from a projection based standpoint, their target shares are about equal. It's just I guess it flip flops each week. So anyway, Zay Jones had a great touchdown catch. Getting his foot in the end zone, his feet in the end zone there. DJ Shark had a great day. It looked bleak for a moment there. I was like seeing Jameson Williams get a touchdown. I was Reynolds' touchdown came after, but DJ Shark definitely had a day. And honorable mentions: Donovan Peoples-Jones. He had a big day there. His first game, his first productive game there with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Richie James Jr., he was productive, 9 targets, did have to leave the game with a concussion. The Eagles wide receivers were fantastic. Tyler Lockett it was just a great receiver week. I mean, we're at wide receiver 17 and we're at 17 PPR points. Ben Skoranek, who played Thursday, he's someone that I think stuck out from a stat line standpoint there as well. Anybody else that you want to shout out here in this honorable mention portion, Greg?
Yeah, no, a lot of players from the same teams. Got the Detroit wide receivers, Josh Reynolds and DJ Shark. Both not named Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they, finished higher than them. So that's pretty good. And Adam Thielen, man. Adam Thielen's been coming on hot the last couple of weeks. So he's continuing a little stretch here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been a little matchup dependent here, but the matchup with New England and skip the Jets, but then the matchup this week. But I think he's somebody that as these games continue to shoot out a little bit, that he will be productive. Elijah Moore also had nice day, and Corey Davis is in concussion protocol, so that could mean more opportunities for him as well. So let's move on to the wide receiver Jags, and I'm going to throw out a name, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm only going to say it just because we expect like so much of him now, right? Like that this is not the week that you needed him to not have a 20-point PPR day.
13.4, I mean, it's better than Devontae. I'll take that,
Oh, yeah, but Devontae's on here too,
Yeah. CD Lamb,
CD Lamb's on here too. I'm just saying, the expectations. People, they want 20 PPR points. That's what the man does. He does. It's win. Especially in a game. Greg, if I told you, hey, the game goes over, right? Detroit dominates. Jared Goff throws for 330 and 3 touchdowns.
Like,
Amon-Ra must have had like 30 PPR points. Right?
Yeah.
You go back, you check, you're like 13.4. So and I'm also a little upset because I had bet the over on his receiving prop, which was like 87 and a half.
Gotcha.
And he was at like 64, I think he finished. So, Amon-Ra, sorry, man. Expect better from you. CD Lamb, though, another one. But again, the Houston pass defense is
the matchup too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was again like people think I've heard other people talk about it and they're like, oh, it's a funnel. It's like it's not a funnel. It's just that they're actually have a good pass defense and their run defense is bad. So, and I guess in that case it kind of is a funnel, but the assumption is you can throw on Houston because they're just a bad team, but you can't just throw on Houston. So Mike Evans, this one I actually like. I don't have any Mike Evans. Let me preface this by saying that for once I don't have any Mike Evans, and I watched him drop that, or not drop the touchdown. I watched him get that touchdown, and I had a sense of relief for all the Mike Evans managers. And then they call it back because of holding, offensive holding. And I was
That's been
just
his
like,
year,
oh
though,
man.
man. That's really been his year. It's been a miss hit here. It's been a, miscommunication there, penalties here. Like it's really been a bad break year for Mike Evans.
It has, which is like from my point of view, I would say, well, that's just bad luck, right? Like there's got to be some positive regression that happens with it. But fantasy managers, we tend to get emotional. And so the question is, can fantasy managers continue to trust Mike Evans as we go into this stretch of the fantasy playoffs, assuming you've made it this far with Mike Evans?
Yeah, true. I mean, I think you gotta really assess that. I wouldn't, in some situations, I wouldn't mind, him being the sit option in some start sit questions, especially because Tom Brady hasn't been. It's not his. Tom Brady is also at fault as well. Like it's probably one of his. I mean, probably his worst year passing year wise. Like as far as accuracy and a lot of metrics, that he's been doing, and the offense hasn't been flowing.
Yeah, I mean, just visibly, I mean, there were throws that Brady misses that I'm like, Brady would never miss that throw.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. Like, so something's not right, clearly. Whether I'm not gonna go as far as to say like he's toast, he doesn't have it.
right.
There's obviously like a lot going on in his personal life, which could impact, his preparation. And, he obviously retired and then unretired. So, there's a lot that, I'm sure Brady, if he had an entire offseason, some of this wouldn't be so exacerbated. But yeah, I think that, like you said, you made a great point. Like this isn't just a Mike Evans, math problem. This is a Mike Evans plus Tom Brady, issue here, where Tom Brady's not really performing at a high level. So it doesn't really give you that confidence that, hey, these going to turn around for Mike Evans.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about my wide receiver start of the week was DJ Moore. He ended up apparently leaving with an injury, I believe it was a knee sprain. I didn't even realize that he got injured. I just thought I was watching Sam Darnold the whole game, throw for like 125 yards on 20 pass attempts, and I was like, oh, this looks familiar. And just thinking that DJ Moore was just not eating because of that, but apparently he left the game injured. And T. Higgins, that one kind of sucked, suffered an injury in pregame warmups to his hamstring. Did not play a snap. My least favorite thing that coaches say is that, oh yeah, he was good, but if we didn't throw him out there, which I wouldn't.
Oh, like
feel
if it was a playoff game, you're saying? That
Yeah,
type
well,
of thing.
like this wasn't even the instance here for Zach Taylor, but he did this last week with T. Higgins, or a few weeks ago with T. Higgins, where like they were losing the game, and they clearly could have used T. Higgins in the game, and he's like, "Yeah, we could have put him out there, but we didn't
Yeah, I do
want to
remember
do
this game. Yeah,
that." And it was like, you mean you could have put him out there, but you didn't want to, even though you were down, and you really could have used him in that instance? Like, so just cut the and just get to the. I mean, obviously they're not going to. They're going to lie, but it just makes it very tough in this situation right now to actually believe if T. Higgins was available because they were winning, and I can't tell.
yeah, that's tough. It's real tough on basically championship week for people. Well, some fun people out there, like.
And T. Higgins is a big piece of those
Yeah,
championships.
big piece.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move on to the tight ends and the tight end swag. I'm gonna give my man Greg a round of applause because he was on the waiver wire last week. Evan Ingram, 15 targets, 11 receptions, a career high 162 receiving yards, a career high because he's never had multiple touchdowns in a game. Touchdowns, 39.2 PPR points on the day.
Mm.
Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by the former New York Giant?
That's what I
Evan
was
Ingram.
really gonna get to. It's crazy. You getting career high numbers on another team, of course. Like that's how it works. That's how usually a Knicks thing, but yeah, now probably becoming a New York thing. And yeah, it was a great game by him. Again, getting hot with the entire passing offense of Jacksonville, along with Trevor Lawrence getting hot. So I think he should continue to be a solid streaming value tight end where he can give you tight end 1 weeks. I would expect at least for him to be a borderline tight end one rest of the season.
Yeah, he definitely seems like that. The targets, the targets have been there recently.
Yeah.
He's been super productive with them too. So definitely like that. A guy who's rounding into form just in time for the fantasy playoffs. If you stuck with him, that'd be David Njoku. 7 catches, 9 targets, 59 receiving yards, and a touchdown reception there. Also did lose 2 rushing yards on a rush attempt, but 18.7 PPR points. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by David Njoku?
Yeah, man, he's having one of a career year pretty much. Like if he's out there, he's doing what he's got to do, putting up like big tight end numbers really. So honestly, he has one of the highest upsides of a tight end going down the stretch. If you're a manager of him, if he's somehow out there, go get him. He's gonna kind of dominate down the stretch if he's healthy.
Yeah, definitely. He somebody that was ranked in my top 12 to start the year. He didn't cost any draft capital. So, if those high end upside tight ends didn't work out, like the Al O's or guys like that, if they didn't work out, you could have just easily pivoted to a David Njoku
Yep.
because he was available on waivers. But like you said, he hasn't really been healthy. But when he has been healthy, he's been a weekly top 3, top
Yeah.
4 option at the
Yeah.
position.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Let's talk about the tight end 3, and this would be a scenario where I feel like I could take credit for this one, but I'm not going to. Chigozum Okonkwo, the rookie for the Tennessee Titans, 6 catches on 6 targets, 45 receiving yards, and a touchdown reception. Greg, what'd you think of this performance here by Chigo?
Yeah, man, so I will be upset if Hunter Henry doesn't get it done because in my 16 team league, I did add him and I was planning on playing him, but then I saw the matchup Hunter Henry had, and I'm like, all right, I'm a sub him in. So looking at him on my bench right now, it's really tough to see. So when I need this win too to get in. So well, hopefully I got Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry tonight versus Kyler Murray. I'm up by 1. We'll see what happens. But him, Okono, he's been 3 straight games now, with at least 5 targets. He's been involved. That's kind of like where it was for me, and there was literally no other option. So I think the trending up is there. And again, Ryan Tannehill has also been on a good stretch, definitely having some better matchups, more high scoring matchups. So yeah, it seems like they are relying on the tight end more to throw to.
Yeah, they're definitely relying on the tight end. I said that, this should be my start of the week bitterly because, Austin Hooper was my stream of the week, who did have actually a fine,
Yeah,
day.
fine day as well. Yep.
But so yes, but Chigo is somebody who is a rookie. He's got a freak profile athletically, so that from a dynasty perspective, you might look at him and say, "Hey, this could be the tight ends or the Titans tight end of the future." Let's get to the favorite segment of the week, and that is the touchdown or not tight end of the week. And it was a pretty decent week for tight ends this week.
There you go.
A decent week. And so I think this might be the most receiving yards that a touchdown or not tight end of the week has ever gotten. Don't know if that's actually true, but we'll vet it. Actually, I'm not going to vet it. It's too much work. But anyway, the touchdown or not tight end of the week for week 14 is Pat Fryermuth.
There we go. I was about to say, is it not Pat Farmer?
Yeah, no, it's definitely Pat Fryermuth. My man had 3 catches on 6 targets for 33 receiving yards and a touchdown reception. Again, we're not used to seeing tight ends of this caliber here in the touchdown or not tight end of the week column. Typically, I get an opportunity to say, no one started you, so it doesn't really matter. But people started Pat Fryermuth.
Yeah,
So
and it's crazy. And this is the second touchdown of the year too. So this man has been doing work without tight end touchdowns. So he deserves this moment for himself to get to get a touchdown to make his day. He's been doing it all year with only one. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point. I mean, if you did not get that touchdown, you would be sitting here on 6.3 points by Pat Fryermuth. That would put him as the tight end 16 there on the day. So definitely a good performance there by Pat Fryermuth. Let's round out these tight end swags. And so coming in at 4, Dalton Schultz, 5, Dawson Knox, 6, Pat Fryermuth, 7, my stream of the week, Austin Hooper, 8, my start of the week, TJ Hawkinson. That's 2 weeks in a row. My stream of the week finishes higher than my start of the week. Is that true? No, never mind. Not true. The tight end 9, Travis Kelce, 10, Tyler Conklin. Tied for 10 with Tyler Conklin would be Greg start of the week, Gerald Everett. Forgot you did that. And then the tight end 12 on the week, Noah Gray.
Hey, you got Greg, the Russell Wilson. I'll take the Gerald Everett.
Did you really get it though? I mean, I guess
top 12, baby.
Top 12 with 7.8 points.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now both of our quarterbacks, running backs, and tight ends top 12. Look at that.
Look at that. Okay, crazy. Yeah. Greg, what did you think of these performances by these top 12s?
Yeah, definitely good performances here. I mean, definitely overall this is the tight end landscape for sure. Travis Kelce though, a little surprising, but still finished top 12. Dalton Schultz.
We'll talk about Kelce in a little bit.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz though, man. We just been beating the drum on him that he was gonna be here, gonna be getting these weeks where he's a high end tight end 1. So continue to see this down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely. We were saying it when Dak was getting ready to come back from the injury, like go buy Dalton Schultz, will cost you absolutely nothing, so on and so forth. TJ Hawkinson would have been higher, did have a fumble, so there is that. Also would have been higher, but then Dalvin Cook, who they were trying to run one of those running back pop passes, and Dalvin Cook ends up fumbling on the play. So yeah, could have also been higher there. But let's talk about the tight end Jags on the week, and there's really only one, and his name is Travis Kelce. This is, I think, the second or third week here that we're talking about Kelce in some form or fashion as disappointing.
I guess George Kittle too.
Yes, definitely George Kittle. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did not include George Kittle. George Kittle's on here, as well as Mark Andrews.
No, Mark Andrews has been it's been a rough last couple weeks, Mark Andrews.
Since coming back from that, was it the knee injury? I forgot what it was that he had. Oh, it was a shoulder injury. Since coming back from that shoulder injury, he has been absolutely terrible. So let's stay there with Mark Andrews because people are probably more pressed about that.
The stress.
I say the Travis Kelce stuff is tongue in cheek. You're not benching Travis Kelce. You're not getting options. You may be a little upset, but he's saving all those points for the playoffs. At least that's what I'm going to say right now to make you feel better, even though it's probably true. But Greg, your thoughts on what are you doing about Mark Andrews? Now we're in a situation where there's no Lamar Jackson, but right now, as of now, for the foreseeable future, you're not getting Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley seems to be in concussion protocol with the state of concussions, especially with quarterbacks. I find it hard to believe that Huntley plays this week. So now we're looking at a situation here where rookie draft pick, late round draft pick, don't remember the round, please forgive me, Anthony Brown from Oregon has to make his first start here, And in action on Sunday, his first NFL action, I think he attempted 5 passes. What confidence level, what if at all, do you have in Mark Andrews? Let's just take it a week at a time. This week,
They have Cleveland. I think sort of a tougher matchup. I would have thought they'd been better off like just running straight Wildcat with all their running backs, like for the entire game, including Mark Andrews. Just everyone gets a shot at just getting direct snaps. But yeah, I think if you're it's tough because a lot of rosters don't have 2 tight ends at this point, especially if you're Mark Andrews manager. You don't have a second tight end, so you're looking at the waiver wire to kind of make your day. And I think I would probably
that means
start.
you're going to bench Mark Andrews, right? Like this is what
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I mean, for next week, I think for the first round, hopefully he had a bye, but for the first round, I would start an Evan Ingram over him, but he's probably rostered. I think I would go and start Chigo over him next week, just the way he's going right now. And yeah, but there's not a lot of options though. I mean, unless you had like a David Njoku on your bench or someone like that. Still
No,
not a
you're
lot
gonna have
of
to use
guys I'm not gonna.
position. Who does
Yeah,
Arizona play next week?
Oh, not sure. Not sure. Check. All right, divisional matchup or something.
I'm pulling it up. I got some Arizona players. They play Denver.
Greg Dulcich. Without a Russell Wilson, that'd be tough.
I mean, it's Greg Dulcich against Arizona, and could it really get worse than Russell Wilson?
Yeah, could it really get worse? You're right. Could it really get worse right now? I mean,
it's Arizona. And it's not like Greg Dulcich has been a bum.
All right,
he's only been a bum like half the time.
Yeah. Brett Rypien has played NFL games, so yeah, you can probably sway me. It'd be a game time decision. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Any interest in Conklin against Detroit?
Not if it's actually he had his best weeks with Joe Flacco, so you might be if it is Joe Flacco, I would be actually I'll be a little more confident.
I think it's gonna be Mike White.
It's gonna be Mike White.
And even if I'll let you in on something, Greg, even if it's not Mike White, it's not gonna be Joe Flacco, bro.
Oh, really?
It's not gonna be Joe Flacco. It's not gonna not after what he put on display on Sunday. It can't.
No, bro, my man somehow finished negative with the coming into the game.
Yeah, because in Joe Flacco fashion, couldn't evade a pass rush. Which, by the way, the right tackle got destroyed. So don't make me sound like I'm gonna put this on Joe Flacco, but my man is 37 years old, which I feel bad saying that a 37-year-old man that means he's only 4 years older than me is old. But like my man can't move, and so he was toast.
Yeah, now you need
it's
a
like yelling at the TV, like no, Joe. So yeah, Rough. It won't be Joe Flacco, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I think having this conversation makes me want to play Mark Andrews.
Yeah, because it's still tight ends.
It's tight ends.
Yeah, so you gotta play. You gotta be someone hot right now, or like
Greg Dulcich against Arizona is as far as I'd be willing to go because it's Arizona. Who plays Jacksonville this week? Because their matchups they match up beautifully against tight ends. So whoever that is, I would be open and willing to do that. Depending on who it is, I'll find out in a second. Because just having this conversation, I'm just like Mark Andrews. Like, can it really be that bad? I know he's been bad. I know
I
it.
mean, 2 straight single digit games. Not like before that he had 11, so it wasn't pitiful. But
But he
for the
also
last,
lost his quarterback mid game, both games.
yeah. Well, that just adds to his bad situation right now for sure.
Oh yeah, you can't. Well, it looks like Dalton Schultz is going to be one of our starts of the week next week because he plays Jackson. Oh yeah, so I feel like losing your quarterback mid game, 2 games in a row has to have some impact, right? Like, how many times has Anthony Brown thrown a ball to Mark Andrews before Sunday? Like, probably not often at all as the third string quarterback. So I think I'm gonna throw him out there another week. And again, it's tight ends, right? I'd rather go down with Mark Andrews scoring like 5 points as opposed to trying to get cute and putting in like a Tyler Conklin, and then he scores 3 while Mark Andrews scores 15 on my bench.
No, that just means that third string quarterback. That means Josh Oliver, Nick Boyd. They're gonna have a slot. They're gonna have a good game. That's all that means.
Well, those guys got to get in the game, which I mean they do.
Sure,
So
they do get in the game. Yeah,
they do get in the game. So that's I don't know, man. I just want to subscribe from the theory of like, if I was the backup quarterback, just find me the best receiver on the team. Who's that guy? Because me and him, we gonna be friends.
But the boy, you came up with, man, the ones that you're doing.
Oh yeah,
struggling to make the roster with.
Don't worry, I'll get
you
y'all a touchdown here or there. But don't worry, your time will come. All right. Well, Travis Kelce, he's fine. There was somebody else you mentioned.
George Kittle, and that was it.
George Kittle. I mean, he's also another one. He's been super disappointing. Are you doing anything there, or are you just gonna ride it out?
Yeah, I think you're also kind of riding it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say there is that with the loss of Deebo Samuel, who seems to have sprained an MCL and has a high ankle sprain, will miss. He'll return at some point in the season, but I'm pretty sure he's going to miss the fantasy playoffs, which is a huge blow there if you are, if you roster Deebo Samuel. But George Kittle should see some more targets here in the pass game. All right, let's move on to discussing some of these injuries, and then obviously we will jump into the waivers. For Cincinnati, we talked about T. Higgins suffered an injury pregame warmups, so we'll have to see what goes on with his hamstring there. Tyler Boyd, he was injured on the first drive, did not return with a finger injury. Dameon Pierce, he was injured in Sunday's game with an ankle, tried to return but had to leave again, so that's definitely a blow there. For those that roster Dameon Pierce. Staying with Cincinnati, or going back to Cincinnati, edge rusher Trey Hendrickson, he's expected to miss a few weeks with a broken wrist. So that's definitely tough for the Bengals defense. He was one of their best defensive players. Denver quarterback Russell Wilson, he left Sunday's game with a concussion, did not return. Tyler Huntley for Baltimore, he also left Sunday's game with a concussion and didn't return. Mike Boone, whose name gives Greg heart palpitations during the fantasy playoffs. He left Sunday's game and did not return with what's been deemed a high ankle sprain. So it looks like Marlon Mack will be splitting time with Latavius Murray. We talked about San Fran wide receiver Deebo Samuel, who was carted off the field. Again, it seems like it's an MCL sprain and a high ankle sprain. Jacksonville edge Trayvon Walker, he left Sunday's game. Did not return with the high ankle sprain. Tennessee running back Dontrell Hilliard, he left Sunday's game and did not return with a neck injury. Jeff Wilson left Sunday's game, did not return with a hip. Wide receiver Richie James left for the Giants with a concussion. Mike White is day-to-day with a rib injury after leaving the game twice and returning both times. Jets defensive tackle Quentin Williams, he's 50-50 to play after suffering what looked like a scary non-contact injury, but turned out to be a calf injury. Again, 50-50 to play, so we'll see what happens there. And then a bit of news as well as an injury. It was earlier reported in the week that Desmond Ridder would start at quarterback going forward for the Atlanta Falcons, it was deemed today or determined today that Marcus Mariota would be placed on the injured reserve and miss the remainder of the season with a knee injury, which is interesting because he never showed up on the injury report with a knee injury, but has been apparently dealing with chronic pain in his knee, and so he will go to injured reserve there. And like I said, Desmond Ridder gets the start here, his first career start against the New Orleans Saints, and then San Fran quarterback Brock Purdy is being evaluated for an injury to his oblique area. Had to get an MRI after suffering an injury on the second drive of the game. So, Greg, I mentioned a few quarterbacks here from Russell Wilson to Tyler Huntley to Mike White to Mariota to Brock Purdy. There's no quarterbacks on bye this week, no teams on bye this week. Who are we looking at the quarterback position when it comes to waivers?
Yeah, those teams that were on bye this week, quarterbacks I'm not going crazy for except Justin Fields, of course. So glad those people are back for those fantasy managers. But Brock Purdy is definitely a guy on my list versus Seattle next week. If he can get healthier, I'm assuming it's not too serious of an injury. He's 10% rostered. He's got a matchup against Seattle, which is a pretty good matchup right now. Carolina had one of the best offensive days of the season on the Carolina defense. On the Seattle defense and in the air as well. So I'm looking to him as probably the main option right now. And I think if you're in the 2 quarterback league and you need maybe some depth, I wouldn't speculate to add on getting Desmond Ridder, see what he can do that first week, and if he can show that he can kind of give you a safe floor, maybe you can kind of see how it is and roll him out there the next week.
If you're on a 2 quarterback league, you can probably pick up Desmond Ridder
Yeah, right
right
now.
now.
Right
You
now,
have
you're
an
right.
opportunity as we record this before the start of Monday Night Football in about
You're right.
20 minutes or so. But I actually did that in one of my leagues, not because I need them, but because I'm trying to play some defense.
There you go. There you go. I like it. Yeah.
Uh, Even though I have a bye week, what kind of animal am I? But anyway,
Hey
Greg,
man, you gotta do what you gotta do.
gotta do what I gotta do, right? Greg, what about running backs? It's rough out there,
It
especially this
is.
time. But what are we looking at? Anything good?
I'm really looking at only Chuba Hubbard. He's 33% rostered. Back-to-back weeks now, at least 14 carries. Back-to-back weeks, at least 60 rushing yards. He's also got some receiving yards this week. Three receptions for 25. Got a touchdown this week. Him and Dante Foreman should continue to be involved. I think both are in that RB3 category. So that could give you some depth. And obviously, if he gets that touchdown, and one of them gets that touchdown, that bumps their day up to maybe a high upside RB2. So I'm only really looking at him right now to be an option.
Yeah, Hubbard's interesting because he's got that upside where is if they are down, he'll be in the game, and if they're up, they're looking to give some opportunities to give Foreman a break. Then Chuba Hubbard comes in. A name I say every week. He's also available right now. Keontae
Keontae Ingram,
Ingram.
yes sir. Keontae Ingram.
I say it every week, but death, taxes, James Conner getting injured in a primetime game. So
Right now, got the chance
Keontae
though.
Ingram, go get him. Trying to think if there's anybody else that came to mind. You looking at any of these Seattle running backs? Travis
Nope. I
Homer.
do not want any of that. Do not want to touch it. Travis Homer got the most playing time and still did nothing with it. Yeah, I'm not touching. I'm not touching that. I'm not touching any of the Denver running backs. Those are 2 backfields I don't want any part of.
Fair enough. Greg, what about wide receivers? What are we doing there?
Wide receiver, I'm looking at 3 guys. DJ Shark 40% rostered. I think he's been hot last couple weeks. I mean, 98 and then 94 receiving yards respectively in the last 2 weeks. At least 5 receptions in those last 2 weeks. At least 6 targets. So and then he got the touchdown this week. So even with the touchdown, without it, he's been producing. He's been a deep downfield guy for Jared Goff. And they got the Jets next week. After that, Carolina and then Chicago. So, got some solid matchups they can expose And I think he can be a solid wide receiver 3 down the stretch. Chris Moore as well, and 2% rostered. Another guy, we're saying, banging on the drum for him, especially with Brandon Cooks being hurt now. If that is going to continue for him to be banged up, I see no reason why he can't be the number 1 receiver on this Houston Texans offense with a better quarterback, Davis Mills. So he's got opportunities, and he's got the matchup against Kansas City, and then Tennessee, and then Jacksonville. So Houston's got a really good schedule as far as secondaries to face down the stretch. That they will be down and they will have to pass the ball. And then Josh Reynolds, another Detroit wide receiver that has some ups and downs this year. But with the high passing offense that Detroit is right now, Detroit's really one of the most fantasy friendly offenses in the league. And having a lot of pieces from them is not a surprise, I think, at this point.
You still have faith in those pieces this week in their matchup against the New York Jets?
I have faith in Amon-Ra, and that's about it. I think a secondary receiver can probably give a top 30 day, but that's about it. I do believe in Jamal Williams though. Jamal Williams, the running game for sure this week.
Yeah. So I was actually having this conversation about St. Brown today. I think St. Brown is actually safe this week. Mm-hmm. If you look at how teams try to attack the Jets, I think the best way to get your number 1 receiver away from them is to put them in the slot. St. Brown plays majority of his snaps from the slot. Sauce and DJ Reed aren't going to follow him in there. So he's fine. It's probably the other ones I'd be concerned about, but obviously we'll get to that one later in the week when we talk about the show. I do like Elijah Moore in that game, though. Does have a matchup against the Detroit secondary, who's not definitely one to attack. And again, Corey Davis is in concussion protocol, so that's definitely a name that I would keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, I think I like that more than a Josh Reynolds probably in that matchup. Yeah.
What about tight end, Greg? Anything there?
I got 3 names as well. You mentioned Cheesy Yogam, Okonowo, 40% rostered. Was talking about him being more involved, 3 straight games with at least 5 targets. So I think he can be a upside tight end 2 right now, hot. And I wouldn't be surprised if he can continue to get some tight end 1 weeks here down the stretch. Austin Hooper as well. It's both the Tennessee tight ends. Looks like without a receiver, with Treylon Burks being healthy, they kind of pivot to throw into the tight end more and running the football, which is fine. So Austin Hooper and both Chico can be used as I think some tight end 2s with some upside. And then lastly, Jeff Driscoll, man, he's gonna be the deep league Taysom Hill type kind of player. He's got that quarterback and tight end actually tag in fantasy, so he could be a tool possibly.
Oh man, another controversy is all we need. Jeff Driscoll out here in people's tight end slots.
I don't know why Yahoo gave it to him the quarterback tight end tag.
Because they moved him to tight end in the offseason.
Got you.
So he kept the quarterback tag. All right. That's all to get interesting. But anyways, good luck if you need anything tonight, people. Hopefully you get everything you need. Or hopefully doesn't get everything. A manager win. But anyway, have a good one, everybody. Good luck out there. We'll see y'all on Wednesday when we break down got to talk to Greg about this. We might have to break down Saturday football too. But anyway, have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. We're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.